Okay, so this is part one on four-wheel drive, 35 horse, power steering, Sears tractor. So this is still very, very early stages of it. Basically, currently, the only thing that's really original on this is the red part of the rear frame, the hitch plate, and the fenders. You can tell the whole front end of this is brand new metal. So it ain't like I'm cutting up some all original tractor or anything. This doesn't even have, this rear frame is off of a custom. And the customs, the steering is part of the front end and not even in the back. So this rear frame doesn't have any type of steering on it at all. Well, from a project I tried with it and it didn't work out, it has a steering column, but it didn't work out. But what I'm going to end up having to do for power steering is I'm actually going to torch out the frame right here so that my power steering unit can actually go right there, or the box. Then the steering column is going to come up. Steering wheel will sit up a little bit higher than factory. The frame is going to be stretched someplace around 10 inches, right in this area right here. I have this piece of metal here. I have another one somewhere. I got to find it. But that's where it's going to go. The reason the frame has to be stretched is the engine in this isn't exactly small. I already mentioned 35 horse, but it is not just a small 35 horse. It is like huge. I mean, it's hard to even show the size of this thing without it actually being in the tractor, and it's too heavy for me to lift just to show you right now, but you'll see it probably in the next video in there. It has an oil cooler even on it, which is cool. It runs. I had it running like about a month ago. I wanted to just see if it runs, and it in fact does. It was full of water when I got it. I took it all apart and I cleaned it up, and it looks like brand new inside. Supposedly it had some type of warranty issue, and it was basically warrantied out and replaced. It was on like a 0 turn. Had to be a really big one. It was made in 2014, so it must have happened basically when it was brand new and it was sitting someplace for quite a while. The parts over here are basically the parts I need to figure out how to attach to it. So here are some roller motors. They're called like a roller stator, I think, but basically it's a hydraulic motor that spins slowly enough that a tire can actually bolt directly on here. I have 2 of those. Got to cut the rest of the metal stuff off of it to actually make it mount to something. I've got the floorboards for that tractor, the power steering column. The steering box is right in here. So this piece here has to get cut and then we'll probably weld it in the frame. There's the hydraulic cylinder for the steering. And then the transmission is right here. So what's already in the tractor for axles is dual hydraulic motors, just like the ones in the front I showed you. So there's the matching 2 more over there that I was showing you. So on how this is going to work, so here's a MS Paint drawing of this, but a little bit more of an example of it. So these 2 here are going to go to the motor in the front, and basically the back motor and the front motor are going to be hooked together and kind of pretend that they're one. So there's some T's already here, which you can see it. Hoses come back, there's a T there. And what's going to happen is the other side is going to be a total mirror image of this. So it'll be front and back hooked together as if they're one motor. So in and out hooked the same. And then what's going to happen is they have to be hooked together but backwards, if that makes any sense, because that side has to spin the opposite of this side. Otherwise, all the tractor is going to want to do is a bunch of circles. So from there, it can tee off into 2 ports. And then that can hook to the motor or the pump over there. So it's going to be a little tricky to get all of that on such a small machine. But I feel it's going to be possible. It's going to take some time. It ain't going to happen overnight. But it'll happen here eventually. So what I'm going to get doing here is I'm going to cut apart this welded together, cobbled up mess and work on stretching the frame. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you the progress on that. Okay, so I got the mock-up of the engine just sitting on there. I did get the frame stretched for the most part. It's going to need some reinforcement because if I kind of wobble the engine like this, you can probably see just how much frame flex there is. There's a ton, so it's going to need some type of a support on the bottom here, but the frame is stretched. I wasn't able to find my other piece of metal that I showed you earlier, but that one is in there, and this is a piece of like other frame. It kind of looks like this frame here, so it must have been a part I cut out already. But I'll end up cutting this weird piece here off so it's all flat, kind of like this. But that is solidly welded up on each side. It is, I'm trying to even think, I don't even know how much longer it is. I just kind of like guessed, and that's what it ended up being. But let's see how much longer it actually is. It is like 6 3/4 inches or so longer than it would be. Actually, more like 7. 7-inch stretch, so not bad. The pump I'm using, which this is the reason it has to be that long, is there's like this aluminum housing here, which is part of the coupler, and then the actual pump itself, which this is 12 inches exactly. So this bolts right up to the side of the engine. This is a 1-inch Lovejoy branded coupler, which I'm gonna have to get a 1 1/8 because that's 1 1/8 crankshaft. So that'll go in like that with this piece of plastic here that couples it together. Probably gonna have to saw the crankshaft, which is not gonna be fun. Someplace around here. That's gonna hurt to do because this engine, even though I hardly paid anything for it, brand new is like $4,000. So being that it's basically brand new, I would be ruining quite an expensive engine, even though I didn't pay that for it. But we'll see if I have to cut that. Hopefully I don't, but I'm guessing I'm gonna have to. But 12 inches back makes the back of the pump land someplace right tip of my finger here, which would be just before the frame starts. Which this big hole I torched here would be perfect for the steering box to come up. And that should work pretty well. So the hood and grill, I'm thinking, if you know what the 59 David Bradleys look like, well, here's a picture of one. With the rounded front grill. I'm thinking I would make my own front grill that, you know, comes up like this. It would have some vents in it, so then that way the engine can actually cool. And then the hood would look the same, except it have a big hole in the side for the actual cylinders to stick out. And then it would come back to this way. It would be quite long of a hood. And it wouldn't really have much of a dash. It would just go straight down with the steering wheel sticking up. The floorboards I'm going to use, well, they're going to be totally custom, but they'll be lengthened. They'll come up to the fender, then they'll come down, and then they'll probably either just go flat or they'll come up to here and then up slightly further than what they would be, just to keep everything proportioned right. Of course, the roller motors I showed you before, I got to cut all this metal stuff here off, so it's just the piece that's actually bolted to. Front axle and stuff, it's going to be a little complicated, but not bad. I got to figure out what I need for hydraulic stuff, buy that. Buy a hydraulic valve that's one spool that's big enough. But that's probably going to be it for this video. This is just kind of talking about it. Talked about, you know, extending the frame. Good enough for now. I've got a bunch of other projects I need to get done, but I'm pretty happy with this. It at least looks like something. I'm going to do something back here for the seat, because this is where the hydraulic reservoir should probably be. So I think the seat's just going to be on top of that. Just to keep weight proportional, because right now this engine weighs like 150 pounds, and I'm going to put like a 50-pound hydraulic pump onto that, plus the weight of everything else up there, hydraulic motors. Other than the driver, there's not a whole lot of weight back here, so hydraulic tank back here would be perfect. I have no idea where the gas tank's going to go, because battery goes here. There's got to be muffler here somewhere, so that's probably going to go someplace here where my arm is. So can't have a gas tank there. So maybe someplace back there. It's got to be quite large because it's a big engine. I don't know. And then don't even get me started on this. This is the other part of the air box. So there's a hose that goes from here on the carburetor, which I taped up to here, which this has to be mounted. I don't even know. This is, I mean, the biggest hassle with this is because this engine is so big. I don't know where I'm going to put this, but it has to go someplace. So maybe even off to the side, this, make a bracket with the hose going like this or something. I don't know, but that's way in the future. So we'll just worry about it, getting it actually like the hydraulic stuff figured out, and then we'll figure that stuff out. But anyway, that is it for this video. It might be a little boring this time because it's just kind of talking about what's going to happen. But yeah, thanks for watching. More coming soon.